Okay, here is Deborah Martin to show you how to make a fascinator.
Hello. I have here laid before me everything that's necessary for a fascinator. You start with the kit, then you have to have a few tools of your own. You need to have a glue gun and a glue stick, and you need a pair of scissors, a little bowl of water. That would be to be used if you burn your fingers a little on the glue gun. You stick your fingers into the cold water. Then you will need to set out your instructions for your fascinator kit. This is the front, and this is the back side of your kit, of the instructions. Then you have to take out everything out of your bag, your kit. Arrange them in front of you so that your fascinator pattern is first step. Then you will arrange your flowers from the largest to the medium size to the smallest, and then arrange all your texture pieces and all of your leaves, and then all your feathers. And finally, the butterflies or the bird in your kit. You will have one or the other. Once you've done that, you can start. You have to start. It's very important to start with your largest flower. Now, every flower has a tip at the bottom. So if you want the flower to stand up like this on your fascinator, you would have to take your scissors and cut off the tip. I will be laying my largest flower on my pattern first, and then I'm going to the middle-sized flower with a variety of the different colors. It's here, this fascinator is predominantly yellow. It does have some white pieces. And remember, you don't have to use up all your flowers, but it is important to completely cover the pattern so you don't see the base. Now this flower has quite a tip on it, so I'm going to cut the tip, but immediately I'm going to glue it so it doesn't fall apart.
And I'm going to make a comment. There's a pattern and a base and a felt base that are exactly the same size. And what's going on is you lay the items out on the pattern, and the pattern corresponds to the felt base where they're going to be glued. The gluing that was just performed was simply for the purpose of holding the petals together after the stem was cut. But shortly here, you will be gluing to this felt base at the end.
Okay, I don't feel a need for these last two flowers. I'll set them aside, and maybe at the end I might add some. But now I'm going to go to my middle-sized flowers, adding a variety of colors, the whites and the yellows, and a variety of types of flowers in amongst. Now you can see these are smaller. Now they're going to get even smaller, like this. Now, if you don't want the whole stem, you can always cut things back. So I'm going to add a few of these little flowers, teeny tiny ones. Now, it's okay to have your flowers arranged kind of flowing off the edges a little bit, but the tips have to be attached to your base. This will be your base, your final base, but this is just the pattern. We're laying it out, practicing to see how we might want it. Now, I've done the middle size and the little flowers. Now I'm moving on to the texture pieces. I want a variety of colors in my textures and a variety of shapes in textures. So I'm going to find a little spot for these. You may have to take off something else in order to fit everything. But you want to create interest in your Fascinator because after all, it is fascinating. What makes it fascinating is all the variety of things that you could put on it. So here we are, we're adding the texture pieces. Now, as I said, you don't need to add all of every piece that you have in your kit, but you must add some from each category: large, medium, small, and now we move on to the leaves. What's left you can add at the very end to fill in where you think would be necessary. So I've got a variety of leaves here that might be nice, and if it's too big, I can always cut it down. This one's too tall, so I'm going to cut it down a little bit and put it in there, in amongst the flowers. Now, be very sparing with your leaves. You don't want a lot of leaves, and you don't want clusters, because you just want a touch of green leaves in here. So I'm just laying a few in here roundabout, just to give it a little touch of green, but not too much. Okay, so I'm looking for variety. Here's a nice rounded long leaf, and it's a nice color, nice lime green for the spring. Now, I've done everything. I've done textures. Now I've done my leaves. Now I'm going to move on. This is the final step, the feathers. Where are you going to place them? So I'm going to take a couple of different feather colors. In your kit, you will probably have only one color of feathers, but if you have others at home, you can add them in. Okay, now the feathers have the same problem. We don't want the feathers sticking up too high, so we're going to clip off the tips, and you're going to stick them in where you think might be interesting, the feathers. Now, I need some white feathers. So I'm going to stick a white feather in here. Now, if you look all the way around your Fascinator, you're going to decide where the front is, and hopefully you've chosen put this center focus in the front. You know what it is. Now we're going to place either the butterfly or the bird into the Fascinator in an obvious spot, not under a leaf or a flower, somewhere where it's visible. If it's there, it's, you could see it, it's in the front, or you could put it on the side. If it's a bird, you could put the bird somewhere where it's visible. Now we take our cell phone. It's one of the tools you should have available. And you take your photo of your arrangement of your Fascinator. Now, don't worry with this next step, but you get hold of your felt Fascinator base. The base, you'll notice, has 4 slits cut in it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you take your headband and you thread it through the Fascinator, under, over the slits, under, over. Now you are ready to put your Fascinator and decide where your base is going to go. Usually people put the base on the side, somehow on the side, or on the other side, whichever side you prefer. Or some people put it in the middle, but it doesn't have to be any particular place.
This regulates whether it's offset slightly to your left side or your right side, or directly on top?
Yes. So you go and you need a mirror. I did not place a mirror as one of the tools, but that is important because you want to look in the mirror and see how it looks on one, maybe your left side, maybe you want to slide it over to your right side. However you think looks best on you. Okay, so once that's done and placed where you think it would be good, you get your glue gun, and it should be heating by now. You may need an extension cord for your glue gun, like I have here. And then you start gluing the Fascinator felt base to your headband. Yes, like that. Okay, so make sure you glue each section. Put a dot of glue under each section. And enough glue so that it will hold. Now, you can see it's not just a little dot, it's a big dot. And make sure you put a dot of glue on the other section underneath between the headband and the base. Now you're going to turn it over, going to put another dot of glue there. Then you're going to turn it over again. Oops, we got to go to the next section. Oh, I burned my fingers. So I kept really quickly went into the cold water. And you can pull off any glue on your finger. And if you need a Band-Aid, you could grab a Band-Aid. I could include a Band-Aid in the kit, but right now it's not there. Okay, so you've got your Fascinator. It looks like it's mostly centered, this one, instead of on the side, but that's okay. Even if you wanted to make it look more on the side, you could have the flowers cascading over the side you would like to have it tipped on. But I did forget the final slit and that hole right up to the edge of the base. So I need to go back there after I burn my tips of my finger a little bit. Now, the base is ready to begin. And you have a picture in your phone of what it looked like so you can remember. So you do the same way. You started with the largest flower. Take that flower and place it on the middle, well, kind of more centered on your felt base. Okay, so then you take your glue gun, watch your fingers that you don't burn it, and put a good sizable amount of glue under each flower that you transfer from your pattern.
So how long would you say you have to hold something before it affixes?
It fixes pretty fast.
Like how fast? How soon can you let it go?
15 seconds.
Okay.
Probably is all you need. All right. Now, once that's affixed, you go to the next size flowers, which are the medium, and you pull them. And you can keep looking back at your cell phone, your photo. And you want to, this one was off to the side, so it's kind of sitting on its side, so I guess I don't need to cut the tip off. I will just glue it, put a dot of glue where I want it, and then stick it to it. Now, remember, I said you can have it off the edge. So a fascinator, the definition of a fascinator is it has to be no larger base than about 6, maybe 7 inches. So the next thing, I think this one was in the front, so I'll just put it in the front there. Glue a section there and then put the flower, but I think this one has too large a tip, so I'm going to cut it, but I need to make sure I remember to put a dot of glue there and maybe a dot of glue under a couple of the petals, just to make sure it doesn't fall apart. So it's going to go right here. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm kind of putting that bigger flower over it a little bit. Okay, next we're going to get a next size, which was on the base. And the next size, it's still a medium. We're going to place it, I think, right there. So that's where it was before on the pattern. Kind of gives me the confidence to do it. Okay, now I'm not cutting this tip off because I think it will help it adhere a little bit. And I want it at an angle, so that having that tip is okay. Now we're going to go with the next largest, and notice instead of putting another orange one right next to that, I'm using yellow so they contrast. Yeah. And now I'm going to go for a white, but I'm not going to put the white here because there's white there, but I'll put it on the side here. So this one also has a tip, which I'm going to put to the side because I think it looks nice. I don't need to cut it off. Now I'm looking back at my pattern. Now the leaves and the feathers have fallen off, but the next step, it looks to me like I could still use another medium-sized flower because on this pattern, so I'm going to add it even though I didn't place it on my pattern. I'm going to put a piece of glue here just to affix it. There. Don't worry, they don't have to be super close, but it looks like I might need to use another flower. So I'm going to use this orange one in here. Yeah, this would be hard to do by videoing it yourself. Okay, now I still have two medium-sized, actually three kind of medium-sized flowers. I'll have to see. This one would probably fit in there. And remember, I still have texture pieces to put in. So, and I have lots of extras that I can always fill in. So far, it looks like this. So.
Just rotate it a little.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's the back. I've decided this is going to be the front where the lily, daylily, sticks out in the front. And if I don't like it covering the flowers quite so much, I can glue it down, one of the petals. Next, we're going to go with the texture. Okay, so I like this really bumpy texture. I'm going to put it in here where there's kind of a blank in there. But I have to hold it down and make sure I don't put my fingers on it because it'll burn me. All right, next, let's get some more textures going in here. We're almost at the point where we need to put in leaves. Now, that's kind of nice. All right, now we're gonna tuck in some more textures, kind of larger pieces. Now, if this one is sticking out way too far, if you think that's obnoxious, then you can always cut things back, like flowers. Okay, so I'm going to cut this at an angle so it still looks a little pointy. Okay, I'm holding it there 15 seconds because this one is a little tricky. Okay, now, the next ones I want to do, I like these little yellows. I'm going to have to push the petals aside and make sure you are always glued to the base so it doesn't fall apart on you. Because, you know, if you're running around with a Fascinator and people are complimenting you on it, you want to make sure Here's another spot in here to fit a texture piece. And if you want to try to make it stand up on end, you could do that.
So this happens to be a 14-watt glue gun on high temperature. Here's a high. So it's a 14 watt. She's running this glue gun at 14 watts with a standard, not a small, glue stick.
Okay, so here's a nice little flower. And I'm going to still add a few more leaves. Leaves are just a touch. We don't want to overbear the arrangement with leaves. Okay. So these leaves are tricky because you can easily burn your finger on a leaf. So you want to be careful when you're placing those leaves. Yeah, I've got a little blister on my finger. And I will put a Band-Aid on it later. But I'm looking for spots on the base that are still open and do not, my goal is to cover that felt base so it's not visible at all. So anyway, we're almost done here. I just have to add the butterfly. I think I'll add my, I'll add the feathers next. And these feathers are interesting. You need to kind of have the feathers sticking up in places. The feathers are things that catch the attention of people. So you want to put the feathers up. Now remember, if you put this on your head and you feel like it's too obnoxious or something, you can always cut those feathers back at the tip, but make sure when you cut them, you round off the tips. You don't just cut it straight across. Okay, I'm looking for another feather, a yellow one, to see where this one might go. Perfect spot in there for a yellow one. So it's important to get those feathers stuck down well. So now I'm going to use this orange one. Uh-oh, this flower just fell apart. So I'm going to add glue and stick it back. No big deal. Okay, now the last orange feather. Where is this going to go? All right, I'll stick it right. I like this darker orange here and this darker orange feather. It kind of brings the colors. Now, it would not look nice kind of in there, I think, and there is this gap in there. So I'm going to put that there. Now, after this, I want either my butterfly or bird in here. And I think I will go with my butterfly. Where did it go? Okay. Now my butterflies are kind of it's like I forget what type of butterfly this is, but maybe right on this side there would be a good spot. Now this could be glued to a flower because it's kind of sitting on top, but maybe make sure you get a good enough glue in there so the butterfly doesn't fall off. There. Now this butterfly's wing is a little bent, but we can straighten that up with a little glue. Okay, so now we have to have a look at it and decide, do we need more feathers? I think I could use some more feathers. Feathers are important because they make the Fascinator very fascinating. So I'm just going to put another yellow feather in here. But I need to make sure it's glued down. Okay, so now the next step, I'm going to go look in the mirror and see how it looks on my head. And we are pretty much done. Oh, I think it might need a few more leaves. It needs a leaf in the front to bring the grains in there, don't you think? Yeah. So make sure, before you check out your arrangement, that everything is just how you like it.
That leaf has lost its footing.
Oh yeah, it's hanging on a thread. Okay, so let's maybe get one more leaf in here. Now I'm running out of glue, so you can make sure you get more glue when you need it. So now, let's have a look at the back. Oh, the back looks like it's lacking something. I think it's lacking some green leaves. Now I'm almost out of glue, so I need to reload my gun with another glue stick. But I think it looks pretty good at this point. Make sure you don't forget to adhere your, this is gone. So I will make sure that I re-glue this later. But I do think it needs a little spicing, because remember, if you're sitting in a church pew, people are behind you, and your fascinator needs to remain fascinating.